rise today to speak about a unique coastal township within the electorate in Narungga that, after some 20 years of planning and toil with numerous stakeholders and various government departments and agencies, is now finally on the cusp of significant development. The township in question is Fishermans Bay, which is 5 kilometres north of Port Broughton, a settlement of about 400 shacks, which are all leased on land owned since 1973 by a collection of people under the banner of the Fishermans Bay Management Proprietary Limited. It has been like a town forgotten, with no sealed roads and traditional shacks left underdeveloped due to the natural uncertainty over security of land tenure, and with the group being on their own in regard to the provision and planning of roads, water and sewer infrastructure. The management group has over the years gradually been moving toward altering the land to freehold title, with the support of the local council, and I report a most interesting and enjoyable morning spent with them last week with the Mayor Cynthia Axford and CEO Andrew Cole of Barunga West Council, and representatives from the Fishermans Bay Management Group. Thank you to Mr Peter Barry, Chairman, and directors Mr Robert Hosking and Mr Bruce Manhire, who are not surprisingly very excited to report the end of the freehold path is now in sight, and they are now achieving approval to freehold the settlement into 432 allotments after the current land division applications were lodged in July 2010, and the process has been supported by the Development Assessment Commission since 2012. There have been a myriad of issues that have had to be dealt with along the way toward this great news. Assessments which have lapsed along the way, negotiations which have stalled at various points due to the unique complexities which have included dealing with the sheer number of leaseholders within the unique ownership arrangements, native title issues, environmental considerations, the various infrastructure planning stakeholders and associated government departments which have had to be consulted, including the Environmental Protection Authority, the Coastal Protection Board, Transport Services, Crown Lands, Fire Compliance and SA Water. And there are still issues around coastal protection which remain and need to be sorted, in particular around construction of a seawall and levee, and issues around tides and stormwater. The news of a subject to conditions and engineers planning date for management to freehold the 432 allotments finally came in November 2017, with the proposed date being October 26, 2018. I congratulate all involved on their huge efforts and tenaciousness and patience on getting to this point finally. It has been a long haul for a lot of different people. All in this place can appreciate what the freeholding will mean for the district, and planning has included providing building guidelines around zoning, surveying and land use, setbacks, heights, designs and densities, and sorting boundaries. Site levels, telecommunications and electricity, aside from planning for significant public infrastructure, including roads, gutters and footpaths, open space, drainage, waste control, coastal protection and water treatment, and the sorting of who is paying for what, importantly. This has been a huge local issue for the township, which is essentially a holiday shack area that has developed on private land over the past 80 years. As you can understand, the emotional side of the process for the families who have annually paid their lease fee for their family shack, in many cases for generations, and the toll uncertainty for the future can bring. For some, it will mean selling and not being able to meet the freehold costs, and for others it will mean plans for new builds and improvements that can now occur. For the district, it is an exciting time, and I again commend all involved in negotiations: the management group, existing licence holders, engineers, lawyers, state agencies, and especially council, which has had the responsibility to plan for the huge growth and demand on services and the environment that will now come with it, whilst being conscious of not losing the character of the place, which has been recognised as a need by locals. The process, which has been going on for 20 years, is a testament to the willpower and fortitude of those involved, and is a genuine win-win for all: for the Fishermans Bay Corporation to be able to get out of their outdated business model, and for the residents to get their own land on which their property sits. I am informed that 92% of leaseholders have paid their deposit to enter into the freehold arrangement. The last hurdle is ensuring the new vibrant township won't get flooded away with the tides. This responsibility lies with the Coastal Protection Board, which I am aware has had various issues to deal with within my electorate, notably the drift sand at Wallaroo, which is an issue for those residents living in the front of Otago Road, at Fishermans Bay, where there is an issue with the boat ramp previously installed, at Black Point, where drift sand is also an issue, and that sand replenishment will be a welcome sight for a number of people. I can only hope that the Coastal Protection Board will get it right at Fishermans Bay, and I wish all residents all the best in their endeavours to get their land freeholded, and look forward to it becoming a reality in the near future.
Question before the House is at the House. Note grievances. Oh, the Minister?
Grievances.
Yes. Is that moved? Moved?
Aye.
Seconded? All in favour?
Aye.
All against? It's carried. Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I think I seek leave to table a ministerial statement
I'm advised
from
you don't
another
need
place.
leave. Please continue.
Do I need leave?
No.
Oh,
Please
I've been
continue.
given it. Oh, just table it. Thank you. I table a copy of the New Housing Authority ministerial statement of the Honourable Michelle Lensick MLC, tabled today in another place. And I now move that consideration of the Electoral Prisoner Voting Amendment Bill postponed on motion be now resumed.
Is that seconded? Yes, sir. All those in favour say aye. On the contrary say no. It's carried. Minister.
Today to speak on the Electoral Prisoner Voting Amendment Bill and point out that this is another one of the Marshall Liberal Government's fantastic commitments taken to the last election, and one we will be delivering on as we promised when we went to the March 17 election, and commend all those involved in bringing this to the House. This is a very good bill, Mr Speaker, and one that brings us in line with the rest of the nation and the Commonwealth position as well. And it is good to be speaking on this piece of legislation, which will ultimately disqualify people who've committed a serious offence, and it will disqualify them from voting in the state elections. The Electoral Prisoner Voting Amendment Bill will have the effect that a person who is in custody, a person that's in jail at the close of the rolls ahead of an election, and if that person is serving a sentence of imprisonment of 3 years or more,